I'm John Hewlett with the Lake Como Heart Institute. It's my pleasure today to be with the new 2011 USAT, United States Sprint Triathlete Champion for the age group 45 to 49. And we're so excited because Jeremy Oury of Hamilton, Montana has risen through the ranks over the last number of years to the point that he is now the national champion several weeks ago in the national event. So we're excited about it because Jeremy was introduced to Pro Arginine Plus in spring of this year and started taking the product off and on as a part of his workout regime. So first of all, Jeremy, it's so nice to be with you. Congratulations on being a national champion. We like the synergy on your shirt, and he did that all on his own. So we're glad to do that. Tell us a little bit about what goes on and what is the Sprint Triathlon event? What are the events or the time frames of each things that you do?
Well, triathlon in the United States is broken into a lot of different distances. There are about 1.3 million people in the United States that participate in triathlon now. All age groups, from kids up to age groups that are 80 years old plus. My father, who's 73, still competes. So it's a very, you end up competing in very specific age groups. It's sort of tailored for individuals, all different distances, from sprint racing, which is about an hour to an hour and a half race, up to what people refer to as Ironman racing, which is an all-day event. An Ironman race will be a 2.5 mile swim, 112 miles on the bike, and then a 26-mile marathon at the end of it. What I've competed at all different distances over the last 20 years. I've found myself going back to the shorter distances, a little more manageable. I'm better at it. It's fun to kind of utilize fast twitch muscle instead of just a bunch of slogging it out in the saddle all day long. So what I competed in a couple of weeks ago in Burlington, Vermont was the USAT National Championships, and there were two distances that were contested. Olympic distance, which is about a 2 to 3 hour race, and then sprint distance, which is an hour to 2 hour race.
So really it's like being a sprinter, so to speak. So what are the actual lengths of the swim and the run and the bike in the sprint?
The race that I competed in was a half a kilometer swim, so 750 meters in open water, Lake Champlain, Burlington, Vermont, and a 20K bike, about 12.5 miles, and then a 5K run, a little over 3 miles. And the fastest guys did that in about 58 minutes. The bulk of the crowd was probably in the hour to 20 to hour 40 minute range, and I finished in about an hour 10, and I was 8th overall, second master over 40.
Wow.
And first in my age group.
First in your age group, so you're national champion, which is very, very exciting, and second from age 40 on up, and 8th overall, even against the 20-year-olds.
Yeah, there's a lot of fast kids here.
Wow. So what was the best finish you'd had before the U.S. Championship?
I've been a bubble guy for the last 8 or 9 years, which means that they take the top 15 in each age group to the World Championships. And I've always been between, as high as 13th. Usually around 20th, and sometimes I can sneak in on the U.S. team. And this year, things just went a lot better. And
what, obviously you were introduced to Pro Arginine Plus and the other Synergy products. The other ones you take are Core Greens.
The Mystica.
The Mystica, which is the antioxidant.
And then I use the E9 as a pre-workout and for racing. It's a big energy boost, and I actually had that in my bottle at Nationals. I had it in my bottle at every race I did this year, and managed to get on the podium at every race that I entered this year.
Interesting. So tell us a little bit, how much Pro Arginine do you normally take on a training day, on a regular basis, and maybe on a race day?
I start off in the morning, make myself a big shake with some various things in it, a lot of fruit, a couple of scoops of Pro Arginine. I usually throw in Core Greens then as
Easier
well.
to take, yeah.
And then I'll have another bottle of it during the afternoon, probably before a workout. I tend to swim at lunch and then bike and run in the evening. So I'll add stuff to the bottle during the day. I'll probably throw in some other products, some electrolyte replacement drink or something like that. And then in the evening, if I go to, I'm not a good water drinker. I'm supposed to be. I'm doing enough stuff during the day that I should be drinking a lot of water. I just don't do it. But if I throw a scoop of Pro Arginine in it, it makes it easier. So I tend to get down probably another, maybe 30 ounces during the day.
So is that about four to five scoops a day?
4 to 5 servings a day.
Depending on the demands.
Right.
Have you found on race day? Tell us a little bit about your
race day. I'll take
regimen.
I'll take a little bit before the race, and I'll mix a bottle that'll have a scoop of the regular pro-arginine plus the E9 in it.
During the race.
And I'll actually use it during the race. Yeah.
Wow.
And you can feel it. I mean, I can feel it. I noticed from the time I started taking it that generally it enhanced my ability to get through a workout. Just felt like I had more energy. It felt like what it's supposed to do. It's a circulatory enhancement. And when you get to the point where you're training very specifically for things, you start to notice things about your body. I can feel in these last couple of weeks here leading up to nationals and then worlds that things are clicking, and I can feel it. I can feel stuff in my body working the way it's supposed to. Part of it is making sure that I've got the right supplements and the right nutrition going on, and you can really set yourself off one way or the other by subtle differences in your nutrition. The pro-arginine X been working this year. I'm not stopping it.
National champion. I don't know if you can do much better, other than maybe first overall when you're going to be approaching 50.
We'll find out next week. Beijing is next week. World Championships, 60 countries competing, each of them taking in a team of anywhere from 100 to 300 athletes. And the last time I did that was in Australia in 2009, and I placed about 30th in my age group out of 60. So I made the top half. So my expectations are a lot lower.
Top 10.
Yeah.
Top 10 this year in Beijing.
That's the idea.
That's great.
Yeah.
Have you noticed, I would suspect that you haven't had injuries, or that nagging injuries repair better, because we see that a lot of athletes, not only enhances their performance, but it helps prevent injury.
I can tell you that I put it to the test in terms of recovery. I did have injuries this year for really the first time in a while, but I had selected such an increased training program. It was a much more intense training program. My coach, Elliot Bassett, from the University of Montana, he gave me a very specific set of workouts, and we ramped it up in July. And at my age, there are some things that just don't function the way they used to. Hamstrings were one of them.
Right.
I noticed, though, that my recovery, if I really concentrated on good recovery, I went to my physical therapist, and he specifically keyed in on nutrition. He said the thing that's going to fix you here is going to be making sure that you're hydrated, making sure you've got a good electrolyte balance, and circulation. And so heat and cold, and the pro-arginine is technically, I guess, a vasodilator.
It's true.
And it certainly can't hurt. You can use the old grandmother idea of, why do you eat chicken soup when you're sick? Does it help? Does it help?
Seems to.
It couldn't hurt.
Well, we found that people, and if you do have a little bit of an injury, there's been no question that people have had dramatic recovery increased time, because blood flow to an inflamed area helps heal it. And we've seen great results.
Well, it's worked in post-operative care for cardiac patients. Over the years, my dad's a cardiac surgeon, and he's been using various vasodilators for years for post-operative care. I mean, it's a logical. Same thing as all this compression gear that you see in athletics now. You know, all the athletes are using it. That all comes from ICUs in hospitals. It's the same thing with vasodilators. A person that's going to sit in the hospital bed post-operatively needs to make sure that their circulation is working at an optimum.
Exactly. And your father now believes in pro-arginine plus after doing the research. One of the top cardiologists really in the country.
I think he stumbled upon it a long time ago through some of the operations that he was doing. He found that by prescribing certain vasodilators that his patients had enhanced recovery. He's an athlete also, so it made sense to him inherently that would work. Then when he was shown that there's a product that's, sort of an over-the-counter product that you can take or you can purchase that anybody can take, he's on it.
One of the things that people have said, that if you take it after the workout, it will actually even help even more with the recovery.
Recovery nutrition is a gigantic part of training in general for the average amateur athlete, and even just people that want to just work out. Training techniques have increased over time quite a bit. What people do, cross-training, which is really born out of the sport of triathlon, is really important. Recovery has become a huge part of the industry. Compression gear and post-workout nutrition. The blend of protein to carbohydrate, the number of antioxidants that you take. Antioxidants are a huge part of recovery.
That's the Mystica. Yeah. Is that why the Mystica
works great. You create a huge amount of damage when you're doing these workouts. You know, these guys that are swimming here today are doing a workout that for the average guy would lay him up in bed for a day or two.
Because the free radicals are burning.
Free radicals.
And the oxidation.
And if you look through any sports magazine these days, particularly fitness magazines, triathlon magazines, running magazines, the products that they're selling are all recovery. It's all recovery and maintenance. And for the 40 to 50-year-old, average athlete, that's a huge part of it. Rest, the right training program, rest, and nutrition, giant part of what we do.
Now we know that nutrition and exercise is critical, but the genetics is often an issue.
Doesn't hurt if your old man's an animal.
Exactly, and in heart disease on the other side of it.
Right.
I remember.
I've got both of those. I've got a dad who's a great athlete, but he's got hereditary heart disease, and I got to watch that. I have to watch my cholesterol very carefully.
And this actually will help increase your HDL.
And it's lowered my overall ratio.
Right. That's an exciting thing. The other thing is, I remember when Jim Fixx dropped dead, the great Olympian.
Yeah.
And the great, really one of the first, the godfather of marathon running, essentially. And how shocked people were.
Right.
Does it make you feel better to know that you're having cardiovascular benefits to your heart, and as well as having vasodilation, that you're actually enhancing and maybe clearing those arteries?
It wasn't lost on me the impact of what happened. And my dad's dad, my grandfather, dropped dead of a heart attack after a run at age 55 in 1966.
Oh, I didn't know.
And he's had it on his mind the whole time, and he's in the business.
Yeah.
So he gets cathed every 5 or 6 years. He gets a treadmill test done, an EKG treadmill test. He occasionally has taken, I forget what the class of drug they call it, that affects your cholesterol, things
Statin
like statins.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but he's elected to go to a more natural route now. I've been doing the same thing with a pro-arginine and everything else that I'm taking, and being careful about what I eat.
Sure.
I'm not going to eat a lot of eggs every week. I do like them, but I'm going to be careful about it. Also taking found that lecithin was something that naturally lowered it.
Well, that's awesome. Have you noticed any kind of increase in muscle mass? Because it actually enhances that, but you've been working so hard that maybe it's allowed you to even become leaner and more
I think what happens at this age is that it's a question of attrition.
Keeping up.
The guys in my age group, I can do better in my age group now because some of those guys aren't showing up anymore. They've got lives that are too busy, or they can't train as much, or like all of us. I have 3 kids, and life takes over. I think that keeping up a strength training regime and sticking with it, it gets more and more difficult as you get older to maintain lean body mass. The things that help you maintain it are strength training and proper nutrition. The problem for most people is they get to the gym at 6 o'clock in the evening after being at work, and it's very hard to motivate yourself to do anything that does you any benefit. So keeping your nutrition up, I feel like using this stuff gets me prepared to go to the gym and perform. And so I can do a really great workout.
That's incredible, Jim. We're so impressed with what you've done, and we're so appreciative that you found Pro-Arginine Plus and that Glenn introduced it to you, and now you found the benefit for yourself and in your great application. I mean, it's got to be exciting to go from top 15 or 20 to being the national champion.
It was a surprise. It was a nice surprise, and it was pretty rewarding to cross the finish line, and just any time that you can take what you're doing and you can do it better, that's good. And if you can use it as a platform to maybe bring other people to it, that's what's fun for me. I have a lot of friends and folks around here who just got into racing in the last couple of years. People who have never thought about working out before, and they ask you, they come to you and they say, "What are you doing? Why are you doing it? How are you doing it? How do you motivate yourself to come to the pool to swim? What are you taking?" So it's easy to share it with them, and you don't have to feel like you're promoting anything that you're paid to do or anything, or it's a sponsorship kind of deal. I use stuff that works. I use equipment that works. I use training programs that work. I eat the right foods, but I don't do what I see in a magazine. I do what I've tried and tested out in training and racing.
And it works.
It does.
So any runner, any athlete, anyone who's trying to enjoy life more to the fullest,
anybody sitting on a treadmill in front of a TV
can benefit.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. We wish you the best in the World Championships. Why not be World Champion? All right.
We'll see.
Thanks
We'll see how that goes.